Okay, good morning. Good morning, world, wherever you are. 29th of Av. Hayom Yom. There must be avoda by one's own efforts. Superior heights are attained when one is taken by the hand and led. However, it is more precious when it is by one's own strength. Pretty clear. So, in fact, in today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe will exhort us to apply our strength in our service of Hashem. Lessons in Tanya. We're starting a new letter today. Epistle 9 on page 154. The Lessons in Tanya. And in Likuti Amorim, the bottom of page 226. All right, having given us quite a full yet esoteric explanation of the power of tzedakah, right? Briefly, using the mashal of seeding seeds in the dirt, that when you seed one seed in the dirt, it elicits the power, the koyach hatzameach, the power of growth, the power of infinity, which is in the earth, and it gives forth many, many more seeds. An example being a wheat kernel you plant in the ground. From the ground, that first of all, that seed rots, which the analog for that is giving oneself over, planting your seed firmly down here, planting yourself in your avoda down here on earth, giving yourself over. And when you give yourself over, back to the moshe, when the seed rots in the ground, it elicits Hesed Hashem, a kindness from Hashem, which comes from God's deepest levels, God's infinite levels. And that manifests back to our wheat stock, a stock of wheat that has many, many seeds. From one seed, you get multiple produce. So that is the mashal that the Alter Rebbe used to explain the esoteric function of the pasuk, Zereya Tzedakos Matzmiach Yeshuas. Plant righteousness and you get salvations, revelations, more than what you plant. All right, now with this letter, I told you at the beginning that these Igeras HaKodesh are a combination generally of very esoteric letters and very, we would call down-home, talks to his Gehila, to his Hasidim. And following on the esoteric explanation of tzedakah, he exhorts his people, us, that's his Hasidim, as follows. Letter test. Oy have achi v'roi, my beloved ones, my brothers, my sisters, my friends, asher kenafshi, who are like my own soul, the Alter Rebbe says, Basi kemaskir, I'm coming to remind you, and to arouse the sleeping ones, the ones who are sleeping, in the vanities of vanities, in the preoccupations of this world. Believe us, then we know a little bit of the history then. I mean, making a living was never easy, but in those times in Russia, it was beyond not easy. And so it was very easy to get really involved in the day-to-day, in the struggle, on a purely earthly basis. I'm coming to arouse you, the Alter Rebbe says, to consider and realize, as you know in your heart of hearts, that these are vanities of vanities, lishkoyach oinei ha'oirim, to awake, to open up the eyes of the blind, yabitu lireis liyes kol yishon, that they should look, they is us, he's speaking to us, look and see with all of your striving, chefsam imagmosum, and all of your desires and struggles, l'kol bahem, all of them should be to the Chai, to the absolute source of life, Rucham, and the source of your spirit, B'moker Mayim Chayim, in the source of the living waters, which is the Chaya Chayim, the life of life, Kol Yemei Chayehim, all the days of your life. So the struggle in Gashmias is very overwhelming sometimes. Realize that in this Gashmias, as we explained earlier on the esoteric level, there is planted in the earth, in the power of working the earth, working the metaphorical earth, whatever the opportunity on the earth, the earthly opportunity down here on earth that God has given us to work that earth in such a way that you do it with an attitude that you are investing yourself in and bringing down the life of life into it. And it isn't just for its own sake, as you will explain, but rather one's perspective should be on the life of life. All the days of your life, nefesh ve'ad basar, from soul to flesh, or we would say, invest your entire body and soul in the perspective that what you need to do and have been given the opportunity to do and the struggle to do is to bring godliness into that portion which you have been allotted. The hainu, that to perceive the hainu, that kol mili da alma, that all the affairs that we have down here in this world, the oske parnasa, and all the occupation that we have with making a living, lo yeh ke'ilu da avdin legermayu. It's not for the purpose of doing it with an attitude that this is all about me, for my own sake. V'liyah beis Yisrael ke'avdei gelulim. And it should be that the house of Israel should not be like the house of the idol worshippers, which the house of the idol worshippers, the zonin umafarnasin, that they look for their sustenance and their parnasa, umakairan umoikrin, and hold dear linashayu, their wives, ubenayu, their children, me'ahava, for a self-love, that everything is about me, that the work that I do, the family that I raise, is all about me. Don't have that perspective, because that's just the perspective of the Oivei Gelulim, the ones who serve idols. You know, it used to be very common, at least when I grew up in the 50s, the generation that came out of Europe had nothing. And here they landed in the land of opportunities. This is in the 40s and the 50s, after the war. And the notion of what's called vicarious pleasure. The parents got vicarious pleasure from the kid was smart enough to go to Harvard, or the kid achieved something. And that became part of my feeling of pleasure, that look at what this is, that I've been able to accomplish, etc. But the perspective should be, look at what God has given me, the benefit that God has given me. It's not about me. It's about the blessings that God has given me. Not like those who serve idols whose perspective is primarily about themselves. There's a pasuk in Divrei Hayomim in Chronicles that says, "Who is like your family, your people Israel? Who is like your people Israel? Gai echad ba'oretz." And the pasuk says, "One nation in the earth." That's what's written. That's what's Kosiv. That's what's written in Chronicles, and the Alter Rebbe darshans this, interprets this for us as follows: right? It says, Goy echad ba'oretz. Who is like the people Israel, one nation in the earth, that even in your earthly affairs, you should not separate from the singular one truth, chas v'sholem, l'hoid edus sheker, to give false testimony, chas v'sholem, when you say Krishma, erev v'boker, in the evening and in the morning, be'inayim segures, with your eyes tightly closed, and you say, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that Hashem is Echad. And if you look at the word Echad, we darshan it as follows: that the Aleph is the one singular God. Number one is Aleph, and he is singular in the Ches, in the seven heavens and the earth, all the vertical dimensions of reality, and Dalet, and in the four horizontal, north, south, east, and west. So don't give lie to that. You say that twice a day. He's talking to us, but he's saying, you, people, congregation, my kahila, don't give lie to that. Say it with emes, and know that with emes, that when you say Hashem is echad, you are acknowledging and should be making for yourself the reality that in every dimensionality of this world, Hashem is invested in it. Hashem is echad. The Dalet Ruchos in the four directions, that's the Dalet of the echad. And the heavens above, that's the seven heavens, and the earth below. And I'm coming, and I'm opening up the eyes of the blind, as the pasuk said, "Tis'af einecha boy einenu." Can you close your eyes from him, and he is not? Tis'af einecha. Can you close your eyes, boy einenu, and he is not? Chas v'sholom. Wake up to the reality that everything we have and everything we do is only owing to God's great kindness, and that we have a responsibility to manifest that kindness, we'll come back now, through tzedakah in everything that we do. However, for this, I'm coming to you to say, Liyes kol iskainu. It's coming now to say to us that all of our occupation, all of our oisik, all the things that we're deeply and get involved in this world, b'mila da alma, in affairs of this world, loyler garmayu. They're not just about ourselves, and they're not mainly about ourselves. Kim lahakies nefoshes, but to enliven souls who are chelke elokus, right? Each one of the Jewish congregation, the Knesset Yisrael, is a chelak elakam emal, a part of God above, and each of our jobs is to give life to each other. Lahachies nefoshes chelke elokis, to enliven the souls of those who are a portion of godliness, ulimleis mechasureihem, and to help them fill up whatever they lack, bechesed chinam, with gratuitous kindness. And in doing this, we who are the formed entities in creation become similar to the one who forms us, who is the Hashem Echad. Asher Chesed Keil Kol Hayom. Chesed, God is giving His kindness all day. The fact that He continues to create. You know the mashal that all of creation is compared to an ani, a poor person, because a poor person has nothing on his own, and the creation is nothing on its own without God investing Himself in it constantly. Oh, and He's constantly, as it were, if you could say such a thing, giving Himself away. And we need to embody that ourselves. Mida keneged mida. We are created to reflect His attributes. Just as He gives Himself away in the creation, we are created to give ourselves away in helping each other. Asher chesed keil kol hayom. His kindness is every day. Chesed shel emes. His kindness is the kindness of truth. L'hachyei sa'olam u'maloyo. Because every day He so-called gives Himself away to enliven worlds and all the fullness thereof. B'chol rega v'rega, each and every moment. Rak she'ishtoi u'bonav. It's just that a person's wife and his family, his house, koidmin. When it comes to tzedakah, the rule of tzedakah is your wife and your family and your household come first. You don't give tzedakah to someone else at the risk of losing or diminishing your own powers to be able to give. So your family comes first. But again, it comes first in order that you can have established yourself in a firm enough way to be able to give to others. So it's just that the halacha says that your wife and family come first, l'kol over everything, al pi haTorah, according to the law of Torah. And that's today's Tanya. An exhortation to live with the awareness of our being here is for the presence, and the only purpose for which we was created is not to indulge ourselves in these pleasures, or not to get preoccupied with the worries associated with acquiring the things we need to acquire, but to bring life to others through our coming out of ourselves and giving of ourselves to enliven others. So, any comments on that?
I think that was the giving of ourselves to enliven others. You said it at the very end.
That's it. I mean, the Alter Rebbe gets pretty impassioned here, you know. In all these letters, these pastoral letters, they usually begin to say, I'm speaking from my soul, from my heart of hearts, imploring you to use the knowledge that you have, which is partly acquired in the Tanya itself, about the reality of the primacy of Hashem and the intimacy of Hashem's connection with everything that is, and the awareness that without that we are nothing. Acknowledge that and behave in the same way He does, to give to those who have nothing or less than we, and help them in the same way that God every second helps us by keeping us alive. Moeda'ani, that's the Moeda'ani. Just as He returns our souls to us with compassion, we should be vehicles of compassion in helping others with their lives.
Amen.
Amen, amen, amen.
A comment about the the initial metaphor of the deterioration of the seed, this very powerful metaphor. Forgive me if I ever mentioned this before, but I had quite an experience with it, which is that for many years, I know we're supposed to believe in Kriyas Mason, and we're like not such a wonderful Jew if we don't believe in it. And I didn't believe in it. I could not believe in it. I could not believe, we go into the earth and we deteriorate, and all of a sudden we're up walking around again. It just would not, nothing to make you do it. Until one day, I thought about this, and then it was sort of obvious. It's that of what happens to a seed. It goes into the ground, it deteriorates into nothing, and lo and behold, boom, it flourishes again. And from then on, been so relaxed and comfortable about
Beautiful.
That makes him.
Beautiful. I like that. Very nice. No, it is very nice. Thank you. Any other comments? And I think that the letter itself is the Bechein, right? The Bechein, so what? So, as He implored us to do, wake up and smell the coffee, right? The coffee being the reason we've been created, to enliven ourselves, but for the sake of enlivening others and for the sake of bringing the revelation of God's enlivenment of everything into clarity for the whole world. And so, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.